There's a point in everybody's life, especially whenever you're young, whenever you're a child or a teenager, where you will question your own appearance, you will question your own personality, you will question your own self-worth. There's no child in the world that is ever going to get through that challenge without facing it. You are all, if you're young, you're going to face this problem in your life. And the reason why is because there's a lot of things going on with you inside your body, chemicals and chemistry happening that you have absolutely no control over. And also because children watch television and they go to school and they're 8 hours a day or more having to be around other people, a lot of kids end up creating these cliques and these social groups, these little communities amongst themselves, where they will tell you and categorize every human that is a part of the high school or middle school zoo. They'll tell you these are the cool kids, these are the uncool kids, these are the kids that are popular, they have a lot of money, they look the most beautiful, and everybody else is less than that. So a lot of kids, they end up fighting with each other about who's got the fanciest clothes, who's got the most money, who's actually got a mom and dad that's there for them and actually loves them and care about them, is where some kids, their mothers died while giving birth to them, or their parents abandoned them or betrayed them. And these kids feel completely out of the condition of humanity. They don't feel like there's any kind of connection whatsoever. There's some kids who do have parents, but their parents beat on them and punish them and abuse them. There's parents who project their anger and their failures and their flaws and project all their animosity onto their children. There's parents that are worked like horses and worked to death, and then whenever they come home, they don't have any time for their kids. And sometimes when their kids are doing something or acting out for negative attention, the parents, instead of sitting down talking with them, would rather beat them or call them worthless pieces of shit and then have absolutely nothing to do with them. And a lot of kids grow up like that. And I started noticing as a lot of family traditions started to leave the nuclear family concept, where you got a mom, dad, brother, sister, or a few siblings. As society went through all these changes and all this growth, drugs started getting included into society much more, and the more wars that have went by and the more destruction of young people, I started noticing that these views that kids have about themselves have gotten much worse. The bullying got out of control. I remember whenever I was going to school, if a kid beat up another kid and you went to the principal or the teacher would just say, you'll figure it out. Things will work out, all that kind of shit. And the principal would just say, well, just don't walk down that particular hallway or don't do this, knowing that you have to walk down that particular hallway to get to that particular classroom and all that. A lot of kids back in the 80s and late 70s felt like the world was against them and that everything was meant to be an obstacle for them. And then, of course, the government said that if you left your school or you played hooky or you bailed, then your parents would get in trouble for neglect and you would end up getting taken out of the home and put in foster care. So it seemed like for years kids were trapped and they could not get the hell out of this. So they came up with this concept called emancipation, where a kid could go to court and try to fight their way out of this never-ending punishing system. Unfortunately, although a lot of young people may feel many, many different ways inside, some of them are not good at expressing themselves. Some kids are shy, and some kids are not able to, they are not experienced enough to be able to make a case why they should be out in society trying to get a job and make money and all that. a lot of parents back in the day used to say, you know what, if you lived back in the time of Western where there were cowboys and Indians, you would have been working a job at 13 years old in the mines or robbing banks or something, or a sheriff in some kind of little, bungalow off in, Ohio or Texas or something like that. You know, all these stupid stories that old people tell. So it's been like this forever, but it's gotten worse because now technology has improved, and also this desire to be beautiful, seeing people on magazines, seeing people on movies and television, seeing people basically being idol worshipped. A lot of kids got to the point where they're just like, shit, this sucks. I just can't fit in. I'm too ugly. I'm too fucking stupid. I'm not good in school. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at that. A kid goes home, looks at themselves in the mirror, and they're seeing all these flaws and feeling all these things, and they don't know who to talk to. They talk to their dads. Their dads are going to tell them, lad, just quit crying, quit being a pussy, quit being a sissy. I remember whenever I was a kid, I didn't like a lot of things about myself. And whenever my kids came into the world, I remember having a very deep conversation with my son. My son said, I'm kind of introverted, Dad. I don't like to hang out with people because I feel weird. My son's problem is that he was convinced that he was too intelligent to enjoy himself around others. He felt like a lot of people were shallow, or a lot of people were fake. And strangely enough, ironically, I felt the same way whenever I was a kid. I felt like I'm around people and all they're doing is talking about partying and doing drugs, is where I was the kind of kid that wanted to excel at school and do something with my life. I felt like when I was around people too long, I felt like they were too stupid and too inferior. That's just the way I felt. And it's the way my son ended up feeling. Well, my son, he said, I don't like the way I look, Dad. He said, girls don't seem to like me. They don't seem to want to be around me. What do I do? You know, he pointed out all the flaws that he thought he had as a young man. And I said to him, I told him to stand up. And he stood up, and I put my arms around him, and I gave him a hug, and I said, son, you're beautiful. You're awesome. You are living proof of God to me. You are everything that your mother and father could ever want in a son. I'm sorry that these people out here are blind, or they're too stupid to see what a great person you are and how much you have to offer. But you have to understand, son, that they're kids. They're kids, and they got their own priorities and their own ideas of what is cool and what's awesome. Let me tell you what's cool, son. What's cool is enjoying what you enjoy and not listening and looking at things just because someone else says it's cool. Doing what you want to do in life. Being who you want to be without changing yourself. Can I let you all in a little secret before I shut this video down? If you don't learn to love yourself and accept yourself for who you are, you're never going to be able to love anybody else. And you're never going to be able to accept other people. If you can't tolerate yourself, then you're going to most likely end up not accepting other people and their views, and you won't tolerate them. How can you? If you can't even tolerate yourself?